Before I start the show, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. I'm living my dream, podcasting for my job for the past 6 months, and I couldn't do it without each and every one of you. Thank you. The FNRad Snowboard Podcast is presented by Skyview Campers, Never Summer's innovative take on the tiny home. Designed and built in beautiful Colorado, check out skyviewcampers.com. Wired Snowboards builds quality snowboards by hand 10 minutes away from my house. Visit wiredsnowboards.com and order one today. Fixed bindings are easy to adjust, long-lasting, high-performance bindings built to have less impact on the environment. Check out fixedbindingco.com. Ripcurl Outerwear is designed to search further in the snow, offering strength, durability, and all-around performance. Ripcurl Outerwear's got you covered. NewGreens, 100% organic, vibrant green juice. Buy yourself some at NewGreens.com and use code FNRad at checkout for 20% off. And for a chance to try NewGreens for free, listen to the end of the show. The Boardroom Snowboard Shop, best selection, best prices, Vancouver's premier snowboard shop. Go to boardroomshop.com and use code FNRAD10 to save 10% off your next purchase. Support also comes from Mount Seymour, Grouse Mountain, Cypress Mountain, the Pro Standard GoPro accessories, and our friends at 1910. You can use code FNRAD at checkout for 20% off at 1910.com. The Havens, a center for transformational learning located on beautiful Gabriola Island. Plan a visit at haven.ca and use code FNRAD at checkout to save 10% off their Come Alive program. Pischke Porcheron is one of the greatest women pro snowboarders ever. She competed in the X Games like 7 times and filmed countless parts, including backcountry stuff, and earlier in her career, she was a freestyler in Mac Dog's Pocahontas. She's married to DCP, and they have 2 wonderful snowboarding kids. The whole family just rode POW in Japan together. Megan's an amazing example of the high standard the first generation of pro women snowboarders set for future generations. She's a director at Boarding for Breast Cancer Foundation, where she's setting up the Canadian branch, and she's a cancer survivor herself. You can watch her story in the short film Chasing Sunshine, available on YouTube. So honored to have Megan Pischke Porcheron on FNRad this week. We start out by talking about when Megan met her best friend, Barrett Christie.
I feel like somebody gave her my number, right? Like 92. 93, and she still lived in Crested Butte at the time, so I was coming up, she was coming up to Vail, and I was living in Vail, so yeah, I met her through, I don't even remember, probably like Ninja, Adam, Stevie.
Were you
Alters.
riding with Quinn too? Because you were on Nitro, right?
Quinn Sandoval. Yeah. And so I was visiting Steamboat a lot. I feel like Quinn was living in Steamboat.
He loves Steamboat.
Yeah,
I
feel like we were going there a lot. Yeah, because that Nitro was my first board sponsor. A friend of mine, a guy I rode with a bunch at A Basin, actually hooked me up with Nitro.
And your dad was a patroller at A Basin, is that right?
Yeah, he was always like, "Don't be ducking ropes." Oh. Called me a knuckle dragger. I was like, "What's a knuckle dragger?"
I don't understand. What does that term even really mean?
Knuckle dragger?
Yeah, why?
I don't know, because we were like, because we're just always like low to the ground.
So we're down, right?
Yeah, I guess we're not carrying poles, but like knuckle dragger was like a real term. You remember that?
I remember the term. I just don't know.
I used to think it was because of like caveman or something. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe it's because we're low to the ground and.
I don't have any idea.
Big pants, big stance, knuckle dragon.
Colorado was the epicenter of the scene.
Yeah, it really was.
I think it was because it was a centralized place where East could meet West, and Vermont could come to Colorado, California could come to Colorado, Utah could come to Colorado, Canada would come to Colorado.
Cali had its own scene though, right? Like all those, like Tahoe, like South Shore, Tahoe, like they had their own niche as well. But Colorado, because I remember going out to California a lot and all the crews out there, right? But it was kind of this Colorado, Tahoe, Washington had its own scene.
Here's something that's come up for me this year that I'm really excited about because I'm trying to tell the history of early snowboarding, and I don't know how to detach it from the history of Burton. You know, that's what everybody's always talked about. You know, Sherman, then Jake, then Craig, then Terrier, then Sean White. And that's a good narrative, but it leaves out Colorado. It leaves out
Craig
Utah.
came to Colorado. I rode with Craig in Colorado.
Certainly.
It's because Jake loved Colorado too. So.
And Jake would come to like Utah. Jake was in Utah in the canyons like in the early 80s.
Yeah.
But people, the scenes don't get the love that they deserve, right? The scenes don't get it. I think Breckenridge, I think there's people who are working on a Lords of Dogtown type movie about snowboarding in those days.
Yeah.
And it centers around Breckenridge.
Yeah. Breck was like, oh my gosh, I feel like Todd Richards was my neighbor. I'm always seeing him on the mountain. And then we knew Dogger was coming, and Mac Dog came and did one of his Pocahontas movie there. And that was like, we're jumping trash cans and hitting logs and like,
yeah.
And Dogger just thought it was the funniest, coolest thing. He's laughing at us. You guys are crazy because we're all just doing weird street stuff, you know?
It's tip of the spear. Where were the stumps? There was a spot that was all stumps that were, I remember that was like iconic, and that was a Colorado spot.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's a really not a good memory. Can't think of it. I can think of a lot of log zones.
Zones, right. Logs. Remember lighting stuff on fire and the logs and the rainbows. Like the Colorado years where snowboarding was cutting its teeth, there was a lot going on. The big pants thing was coming out of there. Wide stances, cut down boards, freestyle, like huge compared to everything that had been happening up to that point. But on top of that, there was this like world championship thing
in Breck
that had become the benchmark for like how you're measuring how you were doing in the industry.
Yeah.
Like Craig wins, you know, the TDK year, like the Swatch year. Like
I feel like, that was when Nicole Engelrath was just, we were like, who is this European chick? Her style. And I feel like there was just, I don't know, maybe I'm biased because I grew up there and this is like my scene. I felt like it was the only thing in the world happening in snowboarding at the time.
That was,
but you know, that when you're in your little bubble, you're in your bubble.
Yeah.
So I feel like we didn't need to go anywhere. That's where everybody was. But then everyone starts spreading out. And then Tahoe, obviously, those guys are
Whistler,
filming their movies. Stuff. And then all the West Beach stuff. Yeah, like there was so much.
Yeah.
The scenes were popping for sure.
But definitely, quickly. So I think how I've come to understand it is like the media, like, because I'm a media guy.
Yeah.
So I was going to go to LBS. It's canceled, sadly. But I was going to go to LBS because that's where everyone is. I could do all my interviews for the rest of the season in 3 days. You
seriously could because everybody, I love that event so much.
So Kevin Kinnear knew running Trans World Snowboarding, go to Breck. That basically that filled the magazines with content for the whole season.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think in my memory, those Breckenridge pipe contests where it was the world championships was the defining moments of like coming into snowboarding and wanting to be involved in what was the tip of the spear progression.
It was like the actual snowboarding spot where like Vegas was the trade show,
the industry
zone,
right? And I heard that there was a hike pipe that had lights on it all night in Breck.
Oh, yep.
So you didn't even see. That's where the industry is working on making sure that everyone knows that the snowboard industry is the culture, right? Like, like it's, you know, but the industry isn't anything. You don't need to go to Vail Resorts to snowboard.
Yeah.
If you made a board out of plywood in your basement and you have snow where you live in your backyard and you're snowboarding, you're still as big a part of the community as somebody that's, you know, Chloe Kim that's winning X Games.
Yeah. Truth.
Yeah. It's snowboarding is about going snowboarding.
And this, everybody and all the stories that I was hitchhiking to my first comps, right? Hitchhiking to Steamboat where I met Shannon Dunn and down to Crested Butte. Actually, I had a vehicle then. I went down to Crested Butte. That's where I met Barrett, was the Crested Butte contest in 92. She got first, I got second, and we became fast friends.
Oh, that's sick.
So that was like that moment. She still lived in Crested Butte, but then she moved up to Vail the next season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a powerful force in snowboarding yourself as well.
Yeah, that was fun.
Like, wow. What like a power couple. Yeah. So you guys are both living in Colorado and going to contests together, that kind of thing?
Yeah, contests together or separate and traveling and then coming back together and photo shoots. And Minx was a sponsor that we shared. And then eventually Montoya, which is what we did with Jason Ford. That was out of California.
So Minx is Wave Rave. Mm-hmm. Did you ride Wave Rave Trent Bush years?
Yeah, that was like my first sponsor, like the big orange and yellow blocked green with the flowers on the knee stuff.
I consider it the U.S. West
yellow.
Beach because in Canada, we had the same shit under West Beach. They even had the printed knee pads and everything. It was like they were, I don't know who was biting who. I think West Beach had to be biting Wave Rave because Trent told me he created the knee. The black
him and
knee
Natalie
thing.
Sullivan,
That makes sense. Like he sewed them onto a pair of Wave Rave pants.
Yeah.
Spray painted Wave Rave around there and people were like, I want those.
Yeah.
Right?
That was like that big.
Because you didn't want to have something skier, right? You didn't. You wanted to identify yourself as like, I'm pure snowboarder.
Yeah.
I don't support
we were
brands.
so snowboarder skater, right? Like I was a skater at the time. I skated a lot of vert. Kevin Staub was somebody who was a first sponsor of mine. So 90 clothing was really huge, right?
So that's so sick.
Yeah. So
that was Kevin Staub?
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah. Kevin's awesome. I think he's still doing it. I feel like I follow him on Instagram. I see him.
Yeah, me too. With the pirate, he sometimes does. Mm-hmm. He does reissues of his boards and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that he's doing that.
Yeah. So 90, it was cool because he was hooking up a lot of snowboarders and all the skate style. I remember Stevie Alters was like 90.
Fuck yeah.
That was
Andy
fun.
Hetzel.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 90 thing. I wanted that. There was something about, it was kind of around 1990. It was like.
Yeah, it was the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like we're coming out of the 80s and now we got these cool brands like 90. Yeah. And then Minx, how long did that go for? You're saying it was
at least, I remember 3 seasons.
Dope.
I don't remember what happened and why it got dropped. But yeah, it had its little era. It was fun for a minute. It was really great to be able to be featured in ads and be able to travel, get travel budget. But it was just the beginning, right? For Barrett, for myself. So we just had other things to do. And I think Montoya was the next for both Barrett and I. And then Montoya was awesome while we had it. Jason and his ex, Dana Montoya is where the name came from. And just really cool suede pants, suede jackets, just low cut jeans, kind of stylish lifestyle.
Who's designing
and
it?
Outerwear as well. It was Jason and Dana and myself and Barrett were giving input as well.
That's so fun.
So it was kind of this fun project that we got to be creative with.
Yeah.
And then, just the funding didn't happen. There was a lot of sales and a lot of hype. It was kind of that Capel era where we had lifestyle-ish snowboard outerwear. But it was a great place for Barrett and I to kind of hone in on our skills and ideas. And then she goes to Nike and then I went to the North Face. So we were both able to kind of
boom,
move up and work in more of a corporate setting, but still a very cool experience.
Yeah. Like I was saying to David and Manny earlier on, Smiley, the term snowboard industry to me now, there's just industry. Right? Because the North Face and Nike are just industry. Yeah. That's it. They're not snowboard industry.
No.
There is no snowboard industry. There's snowboarders. There's a snowboard community.
Yeah.
And for this time of snowboarding, the pro riders had such value because Nike doesn't know how to make anything snowboarder.
Yeah. They didn't at the time. They were trying to, right? Like,
right,
that's
but
the thing is
need
they were
you
trying.
guys to bring the ideas. What is it that makes this uniquely snowboard? So you bring that knowledge to them. And when you're getting paid whatever a designer gets paid at Nike now, probably, right? Because you're not just an athlete. You're a huge asset.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
Kind of. Well, yeah, we won't need to get into that, but it was definitely.
This was the first Nike foray into snowboarding after you guys.
I have no idea what their pay grade was over there, but I do know there's probably a lot of, right? Like a lot of the first people that came in that were like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're not just a snowboarder giving ideas. We're lending ourselves to clothing that's actually selling and product that's selling. So there's a lot of room for negotiations, I guess, as time went on. But it was a great experience.
Did you take heat from people that you're like selling out when you go to Nike?
No, or like I was at North Face. Barrett was at Nike. Yeah. Well, no, they didn't really make like, I'd say women's type clothing or gear, or even like outerwear for snowboarding. It's a Mountaineer company, right? So Jim Zellers, Bonnie Zellers.
Tom Burt.
And Tom Burt was like this original OG, and they're hardcore. They're hiking crazy shit in Alaska.
Scott Schmidt too, right? Like
and
the
Scott
skier?
Schmidt and skier, but as the snowboarder part, right? Like I met Jim Zellers. Tom and Jim were both guides of mine in AK. So
sick.
I was able to get a lot of backcountry experience with them. And then that's how I kind of came into the North Face gig. And it was just fun kind of being there in the beginning. And the designers would kind of shift and move. Everyone's moving laterally, horizontally or whatever. Everyone's just moving around the ladder, right? But you'd still get a few good years in with a designer and be able to get input. And I mean, I worked with the North Face probably for, almost 15 years.
That's incredible.
And helping with getting, not just product for women, but clothing that works for snowboarding, right? Pit zips. There wasn't any of that happening in North Face gear. No, I mean, these are mountaineers, it's a mountaineer type era. So we were able to. They
still need pit zips, don't they?
Maybe, but there wasn't anything in outerwear clothing.
That's
we
incredible.
Were wearing. Yeah,
that's
also
mind-blowing.
like puffies. I would snowboard in an oopsie, their iconic jacket, right? But not very good when it's wet snow or heavy snow. So we were working on designing, puffy jackets for snowboarding. It was just fun. It was a really fun, open time to kind of be in the beginning of things. You know?
Yeah. Tom told me off mic, I think, and it made me laugh so hard because we were on the same snowboard outerwear team. I met these Ice Age guys from Hawaii, and he was on Ice Age. They made this clothing in Hawaii, and it was waterproof to a point.
Yeah.
But Tom's going to the top of Mount Everest and shit, so he needs to wear his North Face stuff until the camera comes out. Then he throws on his Ice Age jacket for a few photos, and then puts it back in the pack.
I have the most epic poster of Tom in my garage. I'll get it for you.
Sick.
It
Yes.
says rad on it. It's him just getting
God.
rad. It's so good.
I love it.
Him and all that pink North Face stuff. That was before my era, but I got a poster of it.
That's
so.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So, because Jess Camira now I think she's even designing with the North Face,
yeah,
right?
I would think so. I would hope so.
Because she's got a line. She's got a line there, which, and I think
incredible.
I'm not educated in it, but I believe that her input was like, make it affordable. Like, let's do something that's not, insane for
Love
people
it.
to buy.
That doesn't surprise me. That sounds like something Jess would do.
That's so, exactly. And she's your neighbor. She just lives over there. That's so sick. What a fun time in snowboarding.
It's funny that you mentioned before you were talking about snowboard industry. I still use the term snowboard industry. I feel like for me, when I say that, that's like talking family. When I talk snowboard industry, right? It's like talking about my group, my community. Yeah. But I still use that term a lot. It's funny that I still look at snowboarding as this community.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there are so many central, I mean, I look at, even if it's, David and his Yes crew or the Capita crew and Union and Cole. And I just, there's so many brands I can't even, I'm not name dropping.
No,
not sponsored by them. Or Mervyn or any of these people. And like, that's why the Bank Slalom is one of those iconic events, besides being maybe one of the longest running snowboard comps. I'm not sure.
Right.
But it's family.
And
it's where we all congregate
Yes.
and we all get each other. And it doesn't matter if there's, 6-year-olds on the course, or I don't know, is there 70 plus year olds?
For sure.
That I hope to be there one day, to be one of those older riders at the Bank Slalom that are able to participate in this community event.
I think what I was getting at is that us using the term industry to mean community is the trick. It's a trick, because even Mervyn is not Mike and Pete, right? Yeah. Mike and Pete work at their job at Mervyn, which they created. It's their baby.
Yeah.
But Mervyn is a money-making machine there are other people there that are, trying to get better costs on materials and
I say Mervyn and
stuff.
I think of family. I think
Mike,
of
Pete,
Mike,
Barrett,
Pete,
Temple,
and
Matt,
Cummins, and
Jamie,
and everybody, right? So that when I say Mervyn, that's who I'm thinking. But yes, there's everybody who makes the boards there. Yeah,
and the shareholders who own the thing, right?
Yeah,
like there's investors who own it, and that's the industry,
them,
right? Right. So, but what I'm saying is those guys are the industry, because they're the ones that are making the industrial decisions about these things.
Okay, now I see what you're saying.
And those other guys are just snowboarders that in the community that are family, like you said.
Yeah.
There's a huge family, and you when I saw Pete Sorry snowboarding at the Holy Bully this year for the second time in a row, I went up to him and I said, "Dude, you rip so hard," because in my head, he's an industry guy.
I bet he loved that.
In my head, he's an industry guy who's making these crappy decisions about cutting people off the team or whatever industry has to do to make more money. But really, really in his soul, Pete, Mike are snowboarders. They're actual surfers and snowboarders.
You should see them. There's a new skate park in the neighborhood over there. It's pretty beautiful.
Temple Cummings or Cannon Cummings now skating.
Cummings,
And I just saw him in the new Austin board slide worldwide thing, and I'm like, Cannon is ripping so hard.
Fun to see him. I was like, oh my gosh, I changed your diapers.
That's incredible. Yeah. So there's a part of it that it's easy to interchange. Right? It's easy to say, well, those guys are a part of the industry for sure. They've been a part of the industry forever. But really, Mike and Pete were always kind of against the industry in a way. Like they were doing the opposite. Like when they had to make a board in China.
Yeah, they were hoping by wearing banana outfits that they would scare people off, maybe.
Exactly. Well, they knew that they would attract the people that got it. Remember they blew money into the air in Vegas that was printed, "Please like us." It was so fucking awesome. They're the best. And they were, that whole point of time, they were saying, fuck the industry. And not to just go on them. Like there's also other brands out there, Yes, and Never Summer, and people that have snowboarders at the core. Yeah. That are just winging it on the industry side going, fuck, we're just trying to make a buck here, but we're also trying to snowboard. Yeah. We're also trying to support the community, not like when the industry says, come to this thing and do this demo. And, it's like, oh, fuck, do we have to? We're just trying to make good product that's at the right price. That's doing, anyways, that's too much talk on that anyways, because it's just what's in my brain.
I get you though. Yeah. Snowboard industry to me is, I feel like it's the same as the snowboard community to me, but I get what you're saying about industry. So,
I would say that Farmer is in the community, and he's not a part of the industry.
I got you.
At all.
I got you.
He even when he was riding for the industry, he was not a part of it. He's like, I got a pro model on K2 and on Summit and on Spiral.
Hyped He was so excited.
He still is now.
I know. I mean, I haven't seen him in years, but the last time I saw him, he was plowing roads in Tahoe, and he was so excited to drive a freaking plow. He's like, you should see them scatter. They're scattering as I drive down the street. So
I think he was telling me that he was psyched that if he made it long enough with the road services, he got medical. He's like, then I'll get my fucking knees replaced. Then it's really on, you know?
Oh,
then I'm right back, like blasting.
Yeah, I love that guy.
The best. I mean, so your scene that you're talking about, you're like, yeah, when you're in it, it's hard. You think that's the world. But for a few years there, it was it was the world.
Yeah.
It was what we were seeing. And it was, everybody was there. Like,
it was exciting.
People that were going to move to Utah and then to California, where it was where, and I wonder if your dad had anything to do with it, like A-Basin being accepting to snowboarding. Was there
I doubt any
part of that?
My dad had anything to do with it, but I don't think he'd be against it for sure. He was like part-time, what do you call it? Ski patrol, but he was fire chief of Silverthorne.
Oh, sick.
For quite a long time.
Wow, that's fucking very honorable.
I don't know if he went to any like burning house down parties of snowboarders, but I don't know. My dad's very accepting and has always been psyched to see me excel and stuff.
Did you have that kind of parental support, like for going to contests and things like that, or were you already on your own by that
I was
point?
on my own, and I played competitive sports when I was younger, and I played softball, and he definitely was there for me all the time, driving me to the games, getting me on the teams, getting me the training, the coaching, and then helping me get, scholarships for college. And then I said no to that. That was a really hard thing for him to swallow.
Yeah.
It's because I was like, I think I want to be a pro snowboarder. And he's like, what is that? I'm like, I just want to snowboard and skate. And I think that was really hard for him, just because, he thought that I worked really hard at something. I was like, oh, well, watch me. So when I did start winning contests and, either winning money or getting my first sponsorships or
supporting
buying
yourself.
my first truck, and he was just like, oh, okay.
That's rad.
Yeah, he's excited.
It's a full circle moment tonight because I'm asking your daughter, like, oh, yeah, you've done grade 12 this year. What's next? Were you like listening, going like, gap year? Okay, that's
No, we've had that conversation for a while.
You guys are really connected.
Yeah, for sure.
I think from an outsider perspective, it looks like you guys put a lot of effort into being great connected parents.
Yeah, I mean, God, we just feel so lucky that, our kids still want to hang out with us, I guess.
Right.
But when you're going to Japan, you can't say no.
So tell me about this Japan trip, because this is, to me, it's my ultimate dream. I've never been to Japan.
Well, it's been our dream.
Riding powder with my kids would be just a transformational experience.
Well, we've been lucky to have a lot of powder days with these kids. They've been snowboarding since they were little. And Lily, she was on the very first Burton Riglet prototype. She was like the first board. I'm pretty sure it went to her. So she's been on a board since she was 18 months. And so we just said, as soon as the second one was born, we were like, okay, we're going to Japan. We're going to Japan. We're going back to Japan. Cause I'd been there and David's been there as well. But, it's just kind of, it's been on the radar, and it's like, got to save money and then have the right connections. And it just ended up coming together. And B4BC has a chapter that we've been working towards over there in Japan with Tomo.
Sick.
And Tomo's an expert in rider. And I've known her for a long time. She's really good friends with Shannon Dunn, one of our co-founders. So we've been kind of putting everything in place to get this Japanese chapter in line. And Azumi over there from Burton, it's been really helpful just because it's just, they don't talk about their bodies, right? And they're not going to talk about boobs. Right. It's kind of a big deal to have the education that we offer here in North America in Japan. But Tomo is a breast cancer survivor. So she really wanted to support that kind of education in her community. So long story short, we were working towards that. And David's like, oh, I've got the trade show. And we're like, we got to make this happen. We bring the kids. So yeah, we went, and it was just the freaking epic that you would imagine. But you have to like keep your mind open. Like, what if we get skunked and we're watching the weather? We're watching the weather. We're like, oh my God, it hasn't snowed. Okay, we're going to Hokkaido. We're gonna have to switch it up. But we stayed the course, and we stayed in Miyoko, Kogen, and stayed with friends at Refrae. That place is awesome, really lovely Australian family, great Japanese community. Our friend Kay and his little son connected with Reef, and it was just blower pow. I can't even I don't know. I'm sure everybody who's been to Japan knows.
How many days in a row of blower power are we talking about?
Well, there was 6, 7, and we were like so tired. We were all, and David's like, come on, we're going, get out there. And we're all just like, And there's the jet lag, but everyone's psyched. And I think by day 4, everyone's kind of like, we're so tired. But we just keep going.
Yep.
And it was beautiful. It was great. And there's just all these neat little things just happening, right? When you don't plan, but then things kind of come together. So, and we did our Japanese for the ride day with B4BC Japan at Sugi, which is in that Miyoko area. And Freestyle Board Shop showed up, brought like 30 people. They all drove 3 hours to see DCP. Thank you for David for being a part of this. We ended up having like 50, almost 60 people doing this big train down the mountain. And oh my gosh, it was really cool. And just so neat to see people being educated. We've got like these little fake boobs that we teach self-breast exams on. And Japanese people are like... but then people are coming to the booth, like young women in their 30s, and I've had breast cancer, and now I'm learning to snowboard because I can do anything, you know?
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah, it was really cool.
What a cool connection.
It was a great way to kind of kick off, I think, B4BC Japan. So that was a really fun kind of cherry on top.
Super
such a beautiful trip, and our kids just like, is this the way life is? Wow, sending it. Reef's like, I'm going to move there and buy vending machines.
That's awesome.
You know, it was pretty dreamy. We feel really lucky.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then there's a trade show portion. And this is a big time for Dave, and we don't have to get into it, David, for the, because there's transitions going on this year with Yes, right? Like, would that have been like kind of an announcement trade show?
I think so. Yeah, I think they did have the new boards there. Everyone, it was really well received.
Yeah,
of course.
I
think I'm going to let David to speak to that, but I know that people were psyched. And
so you've got so many aspects of this trip, though. You've got the family part where you're shredding pout with the kids. Mm-hmm. You're doing the boarding for breast cancer stuff, which is, you know, that's so rad. I think of all the things that I've learned about the snowboard industry, you know, on the bad side, the craziest thing is that there's a lot of death. You lose a lot of people. I don't think there's any other pro sport that has as many.
Yeah, many.
Too many, which is gnarly. Mm-hmm. On the good side, I think the pinnacle of the good part of the snowboard community is that 30 years ago, the women of the sport created a template for engagement with the community in a like such a positive way.
Oh yeah, we're 20. B4BC is like 27.
27, yeah.
27, 28 years old.
It's all the way through the entirety
like
of the history of snowboarding.
Almost like my whole like career, pretty much. Well, it was a little bit late. I started earlier than that, but still, just really proud to be working with them, and just the story doesn't get old. It actually is shifting where more and more young people are being diagnosed with breast cancer.
Right.
It's hard for me to see that. I'm hosting a retreat at Sunshine Village. I'm super excited to do that with Yeti Canada coming up, which is going to be good. But yeah, there's 10 women. They're all under the age of 42, I think. That's young.
That's very young.
Early 30s to be going through what they're going through. So
this is boarding for Breast Cancer Canada.
Yeah, so we're waiting for our charity status. It's like literally any minute. So
great. Congratulations on that. Holy shit.
Thanks. Yeah, our team's been working really hard. We're such a small team, but we're just I don't know, our voice is getting out there. I'm really honored that people want to support that because it's important. We're not just talking about boobs, and breast health. It's like being healthy, being active, being outdoors, being together. I mean, there's so many aspects to what we're teaching and sharing. So
I love that. I can remember that, it was a huge part of media all the way back.
Yeah,
like those
right?
events, those first events were like iconic.
Yeah, Tina, Shannon, Lisa, those girls, like it was just no holds bar. The whole music industry,
The music
Foo
thing,
Fighters.
it was nuts.
I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
That was really good parties. And just a great way to share the message and a really good way to kick off this. I just can't believe it's been going this long.
Yeah.
I know
yeah.
Lisa Hudson feels the same. Sometimes we're just like, oh my God, what's happening?
That's amazing.
We've been in this for so long, but yeah, the message doesn't get old. It stays important.
Yeah.
I want my daughter to carry that message and to continue all of this, to continue on, for people to know. Yeah, just to know.
You guys are still so active in the snowboard community. It's kind of incredible. Because
sometimes I'm like, God, I don't know if I know anything different, but I do know a lot different. I know, same with David and I know Barrett, and we're expanding and we have different arenas, but this is our foundation.
Yeah.
This is our home base.
Yeah. Yeah. The snowboard community.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a project, Searching for Sunshine. What was it again?
Oh, Chasing Sunshine.
Chasing Sunshine.
Yeah.
Right. And that told, if listeners want to go and watch a great movie about it, that tells the entire story for you, right? For your experience.
I would just say just about it. Basically, I wanted to do something. I was learning so much really quickly, and you got to make really rapid decisions. I was a stage 3 breast cancer, right? And I had a little tiny baby and young kids, so it was like the decisions had to be made really quickly, and I was learning so much, and I wanted to share what I was learning, and there was so much more out there than what you would just assume. When someone gets cancer and you get surgery and you have chemo and radiation, and there you go. There was so much more that I was learning, so I wanted to share that, and that's what the film is about, just the integrative part of my treatment. And I mean, it's the rigors, it's the hard stuff, but I think I was just in it, and the guy who was filming for me, Paul Watt, is incredible and helping me to kind of, he's just kind of behind the scenes. And I wanted to share that the outdoors was my medicine. I would go outside, I would pray, I would meditate at the river every day. I go paddleboarding in the morning before chemo, or I'd go on runs if I had energy. Just living the life of making food for your kids and getting them to daycare or off to grandparents, or it's just like, we didn't stop living, but just that the outdoors was just as much of a medicine for me as going to chemo. So that's kind of.
Yeah, I went to the Haven this year. I'm glad I get to bring it up because they help, support the show.
Yeah.
And one of the best concepts that I heard discussed there is that the founders of the Haven were having a problem with the fact that there's this complete divide. You've got physiotherapists that look at your body and go like, okay, you got a broken leg, let's rehab you and get you dialed in. Mm-hmm. And then you've got psychologists and psychiatrists over here that are like, let's get you a pill to make you feel better with this thing. Mm-hmm. But there's no divide between your body and your mind.
Yeah.
There's none. It's like, you can't just treat one half of the entirety.
Exactly.
Like, let's look at the entire person.
The whole person. Exactly. And I think that's the hard thing about, if you want to call it Western medicine or modern medicine or whatever it is, but it's, you are a number, you are a statistic, you are research, you are science. And so it's not like they're going to consider Megan in this whole picture.
Right.
But me, I know that it's not just tumors in my chest. It's my heart chakra. It's my energy body that's diseased, and how can I unwind all this? And without like taking responsibility and saying, oh, I did all these bad things and then it's karma or it's this or that. It's not that. It's just, I created something. I'm that powerful. And if I created it, I can uncreate it. And that's it's a hard thing to say because people might think you're crazy or like, you know, or I don't want to be a disservice to people who do have cancer who are like, I'm trying to get rid of it. I can't get rid of it.
Right.
I'm just saying for me personally, I believed that I can undo and I'm going to learn a lot.
That's
and I don't know what the path
incredible.
is.
Right.
I don't know how I'm going to get my mind straight, with my heart straight, with my body straight. Past lives,
Sure,
all of
sure,
this.
Sure.
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know it's possible.
Yeah, one of the most intriguing things that I read about this kind of healing is Don Schwartz, who was burned.
Schwarty.
He was horribly burned, and he's in the burn unit, and he's hearing the doctors talking about him like, oh, he's going to definitely lose that ear or whatever, you know. And he just thought, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And they told him, well, there's nothing you can do. Like modern science can't help you here. You're fucked. And he visualized healing energy. You read his book. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I actually heard his story firsthand. I mean, he was friends with Dano Pendergrass, and I'd always stay with Dano and those guys during summer camps. And I heard his story to my face. And I remember being this young snowboarder and I had already had a near-death experience of my own with losing my spleen, but I still...
What?
Yeah, it's a whole other story.
Was it a snowboard injury?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But still, just hearing from Schwarty, just hearing his story, and just, he was just how adamant he was and how absolutely sure that he was about his healing.
And he did it.
I remember just being mind blown, just going, this guy's really cool. And I didn't have a ton of interactions with him, but he did tell me some stories where I was like, he's absolutely sure.
I think that's important, you know, just I feel it in my guess work here that like that you were exposed to that at a young age, open your mind to this idea of like, okay, this healing isn't just coming from a pill, right? Like, because I remember talking with Terry while I was getting off of Advil every day for like aches and pains and hangovers and stuff. And he was like, I don't take painkillers. And I was like, why not? He's like, because then your body doesn't know where to send the healing energy.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucking brilliant. You should write that on a billboard or something. That's true, though. Yeah. Like, your body is so powerful to heal itself. But it's to me, if my body wants to know where, hey, buddy, tell me where to send the healing energy. You know?
We're not taught that. And that was one thing that I learned really quickly. And it's not that I'm, you know, mad at my parents or teachers or doctors when I was younger. It's just we're not taught to trust ourselves.
Absolutely.
We're just not. And so we're going to either learn the hard way or somebody else is going to share that with us. And so, there's a couple of other things that I've been exposed to reading, like John Sarno about back pain. And he's like, it's a manifestation of up here. Your back pain's coming from something up here. And there was another thing I heard about heart attacks, that men who are about to have heart attacks, or most men, some sort of statistic of when they talk in the hospital about, like, they kind of knew. They sort of knew it was coming. And they knew what was bringing it on. You know, like, oh, I had a double cheeseburger. I kind of knew it was going to happen. Like, you know what you're doing to yourself. And it requires up here to keep from having your body go like, okay, that's enough. That's it. So then if you get that, you should be able to get like, well, geez, if I know that subconsciously that something's coming, what if I'm conscious?
There you go.
What if I wake the fuck up and actually drive my own ship or drive my own vehicle, you know? And
make the choices.
And so, it's a journey though.
It's difficult because
everybody has a version.
Yeah. My upbringing, I spent 47 years being a victim of what I thought was a terrible mother, but really I had a mother who had mental illness. And once my mind was shifted, it was a psychedelic experience guided by Sean Kearns, which was really fucking awesome. And I thank him for it. It's like changed my life completely and saved me from myself.
Right. Perspective.
Big time. And when I realized that I could accept that I had a difficult time because my mom had mental illness, but having mental illness is not bad. It's neutral. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
And so instantly I could love my mom for who she was, and I could accept the love from her the way that she was giving it to me. Never been the same since.
Aww,
it's such a better
that's beautiful
way to be. And I would encourage, now I know with this Haven work that I did, which was only one time for 5 days or something, that there's powerful, powerful medicine in circles of people, strangers, and people that are that know you or that don't, but that are listening with intention. That that's it. That's it. The ability to be vulnerable and yourself in front of strangers and feel what it feels like to be supported, and people say, not running away and being like, oh, you're an awful person.
Yeah.
That's some fucking powerful shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful work being done.
Beautiful.
Right? That I'm sure it's been done for ages. Just me happened to be coming upon my own circles and what that feels like and looks like with the people that pull those circles together, that are holding space and creating these spaces with intention and doing it mindfully and soulfully and with safety and loving kindness. And then you create these spaces and everybody's there, and you may not know these people, but then all the armor comes off, and people are really, I think it's powerful, and there's a lot of healing that can be done if people find themselves in the right one. There's
also a parallel to our childhoods growing up snowboarding. It's like these circles of people. You mentioned Barrett, and so many people actually you mentioned. Like, even if the circle is just a car of people going snowboarding, but you feel okay being yourself and being vulnerable in front of these people. It's the best feeling. And then when that goes away, you're like, oh, I'm adulting now. I'm at my adult job, doing my adult shit. You don't have these deep connected friendships that you had through something risky like snowboarding, where you kind of know, like, shit, somebody might get badly hurt today, but I got their back. We're all in this together. We're fucking hyped.
Yeah, we're together.
So we, as snowboarders, are so lucky if that's the upbringing that we had, that we already know to trust in the healing power of community, right? And that same intuition thing, you wind up, you're, on the internet all day or reading your phone all day, scrolling, and then you get a cancer diagnosis and you go like, fuck, man, I wish I would have stayed connected, stayed outside, stayed doing my thing. I'm kind of off in this bubble.
Or just like sick. I was doing all the right things. That's what was so intriguing to me. And I really thought hard about that. It's like, I thought I was doing all the right things. I wasn't on a phone all the time. I was breastfeeding, or I was out snowboarding, or doing yoga, or surfing, or, like I was very fortunate to live what you would say like a healthy, active, lifestyle. I loved myself. I loved the people around me. I felt like, whoa, what is this? You just have to really dissect those kinds of situations and like, okay, definitely a perfect storm. And we all have a perfect storm. Shit just doesn't go sideways because you're on your phone all day, or
truth.
You don't love yourself,
or
you're mad at yourself, or whatever. Like, everyone has a perfect storm, I believe.
Yeah.
And we all have to kind of figure out all the elements that brought that storm together.
Sure.
And how do we calm the storm and break it down? And
if your desire is to heal, then what you just described is a very solid formula for a pathway to healing forward. Yeah.
I think, and everybody has their own version of like a rock bottom, or and just where it's going to take us. But we're on a healing journey here. All of us are.
Yeah.
I'd like to think, anyway.
Whether
we see it that way or not,
it feels
we're alive.
It feels like, as humans, at least, it feels like to me as a human being, that you're innocent as a child, and then at some point, I started to feel like this isn't fair, or I'm hard done by, or whatever. Got like a kind of victim mentality.
Yeah, it's easy to do that.
And then I was like, as a young adult and all through my life, kind of dissecting why am I feeling this way? What is it that? What about my situation is like? And then once I was nearing 50, I somehow got the distance from the story I was telling myself about myself to be like, oh,
maybe some of those circles that you were involved in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh man, that cracked me wide open, right? Like the bizarreness of being in a DMT netherworld for me was like, holy shit. Not a lot of the things that I think are super duper important are actually really even real.
Yeah.
Well, this is wild.
That's really crazy. The whole reality and personal realities and kind of like we are what we make of ourselves. We are what we create. You know, it's like having an awareness and a consciousness and the stories we tell ourselves. That was fun. Yeah. Or maybe
what do we got?
On the note of healing,
please.
I think this has been a really good thing for David to be able to show this film tonight.
Okay, so let's talk about where we're off to after this interview, because we're just about to go to the premiere. Is this the world premiere of this?
Yeah, I would say. And I think he's definitely, it's good for him. It's good for his ego. He's not putting out that epic ender or opening part, or it's obviously he's been out of his pro snowboarding career for many years now, kind of.
Well, he's still putting out kick-ass shit.
He's still legend. He's still DCP, right? But I think, he's very vulnerable. And I love it. I like to see men. I'm really proud of David, first of all, because I know him so well and I know how hard this was for him. But I like to see men be vulnerable and really honest. And I'm seeing a lot more of that in our industry, in our family zone. And I think what Jake put out recently, Blavel, did something really beautiful. And there's a lot of really good stories out there. So I love to see them shared from a male perspective. And I think David has a good perspective of just his story of what he went through.
It was awesome.
It wasn't just breaking his neck. It was breaking him open, like he said. It literally was. He was like, oh, I'm not sure I like the person I am. I need to go deeper now and see what this looks like. So
that's incredible.
It basically was a new beginning for him, but it wasn't just this whole like, oh, I broke my neck and now I'm going to heal and get through it.
Right.
He was like, oh man, I got a lot of work to do. And where do I start? So I commend him.
His mom texted him while he was going out the door here. Did you hear what he?
Yeah, Denise got to watch it. I'm sure it was emotional for her.
Of course.
Watching just the crash. I never wanted to watch it. And then he posted it on Instagram. I was like, gosh, darn it.
Yeah. You saw it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it triggers a lot, I feel like, for our family.
Yeah, of course.
The kids had no idea until everyone started coming up to them like, oh my God, your dad almost died. And,
oh, wow.
And they were like looking at me, you didn't tell us that dad almost died. And I was like, well, why would I? Because he didn't. Like, fuck. That was really, it just was heavy, you know? And
of course.
I was there for all of that. And I had just a full confidence, maybe because I didn't think of anything else. I just knew he was going to be okay. CT scans looked terrible. It looked really scary. I had friends reading them for me as I'm down in Costa Rica, but I just knew deep down he was going to be okay. And that's all I needed to keep telling him. That's all I needed to keep telling him, because he had to have his own version and story and scaredness and fears, and he had to face a lot. It was good for him.
You guys have been together 25,
almost 25.
5 years this year.
Yeah.
That's a big.
That's weird.
That's big. I want to put that out there publicly, because it's a big inspiration to people that believe in the power of partnership and love and support and family.
It's not easy.
It's not the norm these days, right?
It's not the norm.
It's not the norm.
I think both of us had divorce in our families, and we had always said, like, if we're going to do this, we're doing it.
Yeah.
But then there were times where we're like, why are we doing this? I mean,
everybody has it. Everybody has it.
We've had our ups and our downs and some pretty deep valleys. Pretty big hold downs, I guess you could say. I don't know. But I feel like we've grown up together. I feel really lucky. We've grown up together, and we're still growing up together. So
you guys
we can still play together, which is fun.
Yeah, you guys are youthful.
And we laugh a lot.
Yeah. The vibe in the home is happy, and the vibe between the two of you is rad. It's inspiring. It's awesome. I've been with my wife for 11 years now.
Amazing.
And I feel that we're well matched because we can totally I want to hang out with her more than anyone else. It's nuts, right? Like that's
me too. That's why I'm like, normal. Really? You're leaving tomorrow again? Okay.
Yeah, he's off to, where's he flying
Mammoth.
to? Oh, yeah. You got to get out of here right now. There's no snow anywhere.
Yeah, I think he's doing some onso demo. It looks like there's actual snow there.
It's been dumping there.
Be good for him.
Yeah, that's rad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the travel for the snow thing, I never did it before. I was always just a Vancouver guy.
Yeah.
And now seeing that, you can go where there's snow.
You got to leave here.
You have to leave. And I'm very similar to what you were just expressing. Like most of the time I'm thinking, oh, fuck, how quickly can I get back to my wife and my comfort zone where my nice warm bed where I feel like a normal person instead of being out in the unknown of
no snow.
Yeah. Oh my God. Totally.
It'll happen again. Things turn around.
They always do.
This stuff always happens. And then next year we're going to get hammered, I bet.
Yeah.
I feel that.
There's never been 2 in a row.
Right?
In the 30 years I've been out here, there's never been 2 of these in a row ever.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, and I heard today up top, Alpine had a nice little mellow dusting.
I could see it on the webcams.
Come March, we can cry a little bit more, but I feel like we got to wait till March.
Yeah, it's February.
Yeah,
we could literally have one storm turns everything around.
Yep,
and then back to back storm.
Always comes around. So, but still, we gotta. I mean, whole other conversation. We still have to look at these trends that. Becoming deeper and more profound and more warm air trends, and we have to be aware and we got to support our friends and protect our winters. So
I agree. These seasons where it doesn't snow in the beginning, it's back to the industry versus family thing.
Yeah,
the industry just goes like they hate it, and people that are part of the industry don't go snowboarding when it dumps later on in the year, and it's a lot less busy, right? Those late season, awesome POW storms. And it's not even late season. It's February, beginning of February.
I've seen so many great hashtags lately of like super crowded waves at like Snapper or something in Australia. And then hashtag, does Vail own this wave? Or like someplace in Europe with like 10,000 people on the mountain, hashtag, does Vail own this mountain? Like
it's incredible. So
Sorry.
here's
Sorry,
Vail. Vail has made their bed. I paid $310 for a day ticket at a 40% open Vail resort last year.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way it is. So $210 US, $310 Canadian.
Yeah.
When it came on my credit card, I was like, that's some next level shit. But my last week's guest, Tyler Nickel, he's a groomer. Yeah, Tyler's awesome. Okay. He was mentioning a project where he built basically, like an upscale toboggan hill, like a hike park for a zone. And there's no lift tickets.
Yeah, where? In Calgary?
It's
Abby Furr is working on something over there. She's got a nonprofit.
Sick.
You should talk with Abby.
I want Abby on the show to talk about this because
talk to her.
I think we need to have, Squamish needs to have, Vancouver needs to have, Whistler needs to have a free hike park zone.
Yeah.
Where there are built features out of dirt that it doesn't need much snow for them to snow on, and then lights for at night.
We have like all sorts of stumps and stuff set up in our back here so the kids can have a ramp, drop-in zone, hit stuff.
That's rad.
It just doesn't snow that much.
Yeah, so if you get it at somewhere where a snow line is and you just let people go up there, it's required in order for accessibility to actually happen.
Yeah.
where someone can just go and get a board for $10 from Salvation Army and go up in their Sorels and do what we did when we were kids.
I know,
it's still snowboarding.
Mm-hmm.
It's as good as snowboarding
pull
as
over on the
anything.
side of the road and hike anything and everything.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
let's go hit that.
Yeah, yeah. What was your first go-to when you were like was it Loveland Pass?
Yeah, Loveland.
I love
Loveland, and just like
that.
Yeah, just also didn't. I mean, this was before I took some avalanche courses. It's before one of my best friends died in the Beavers.
Oh, sorry,
Basin.
Oh no.
But still, Loveland was the go-to. Obviously, we weren't doing the Abbey shoots onto the road there, but you can still up from the top. There was a lot of spots. There was a cornice. There was a springtime Loveland spot that a bunch of us had always hit and build kickers over bushes. And
oh, I love it.
Yeah,
we have a lot in common in that time. Kickers over bushes, not making your first turn for your first few seasons of snowboarding. I was the same. Just pointing
at St. Mary's Glacier, which doesn't even exist.
Right.
St. Mary's Glacier was like, it just doesn't exist anymore. It was like in between Denver and Loveland Pass.
Oh, wow. There was a glacier
there. When I was in high school. And that was like the first few times that I just borrowed a friend's Sims board. Ditch school with some friends, and we would go and just build a jump. But there's no turning. It's just you just hit a jump and then you land sideways, or you land and then go sideways, or eat it, or scorp, or whatever. It was just like a strip of snow. It doesn't exist anymore. So.
I got to Timberline 1990 or 91 at Windell's. And the first thing they were doing is they were dividing you into the groups, right? And I was like, they're going to freak out because I know how to do a backflip. Like, I'm basically going to be sponsored here. Like, this is great. I'm here to tell the magazines that, okay, the next Noah Selaznik's here I am right here. And then I got put in the beginner group because I couldn't turn. They're like, no, we're not interested in you doing a backflip, asshole. You can't even, you need to turn, just do controlled turns down to us. And I was like, I couldn't do it. I'd never done it before. I'd never
just gone straight.
There's never been enough. There's not enough run to learn how to turn where I was from.
That's awesome.
So that's
really good.
So I actually was really bummed the whole camp that I had been designated a beginner because I was just like, no, I'm not.
You're all butt hurt.
So butt hurt. So butt hurt.
It's epic.
But it's true. That was the truth of the matter. They were. Did you work at Windell's ever?
Not at Windell's, but High Cascade.
High Cascade.
I was skate coach.
Oh, sick!
And
yeah, because you had
I was a digger.
It was
So there's just lots of digging.
Yeah, I think it might have been Lisa Vincigura or somebody.
Oh, yep.
That was our coach.
Lisa worked there. Yep. So I was skate coach with Todd Richard.
Oh, sick.
So Todd and I would do like the skate coaching.
That's such a celebrity life in snowboarding. That's amazing.
I guess so.
No, I love it. These are the people that we all grew up looking up to.
Yeah.
And still do. I mean, Todd's still ripping.
Yeah. I was hoping to take a run with him in Japan, but it didn't work.
Oh, yeah. He was there with Mint Tours. Those guys are killing it this year.
Yeah.
I met Mint at the Denver Mecca event. And they're so nice, those guys. Oh, my God. I got to get on one of those.
Epic.
Yeah. Fun.
Fun. So should we get going?
We got to go.
Movie thing tonight?
What's the name of DCP's movie? It's
Perspectives. A New Beginning.
Killer. And people, by the time this comes out, it'll be somewhere they can.
Yeah, I think it's Slush is putting it out there.
Killer.
It should be out there soon, but I hope everyone likes it, especially the people that know David. They're going to know how far he's come, and he is kind of a new David, not just since he broke his neck, but just whatever. We all kind of shift in life, and he's found his shift right now. So, yeah.
Thank you for doing the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun having a conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming for dinner.
Of course. Yeah, thanks for making dinner.
Come again sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
FNRad shoutouts this week to Megan Pischke Porcheron and her whole family. Thank you for having me over for dinner and the chat. Thanks to everyone who came out to the Perspective movie premiere. Money was raised for B4BC and Indigenous Life Sports Academy. It was cool to see Court and the Ilsa crew at the movie. Special thanks to Chur Loeffler, a listener and accomplished snowboarder himself, who's linking me up with future guests and getting me out to the 25th annual Neil Edgeworth Memorial this year. The Patreon listeners make FNRad happen, and if you want to win a 1910 hoodie, tag 1910 in the comments on any FNRad post. And if you tag NewGreens in any FNRad post, we will send you a sample of the delicious organic green drink that I've been having for breakfast almost every day for years now. Be sure to come back next week for another episode of FNRad Snowboarding, presented by Skyview Campers and brought to you by FNRad Productions.